Hey, Steve here, and in this short Photoshop tutorial I'm going to show you a stupidly simple technique for adding depth to your landscapes by literally painting atmospheric perspective into your scene. Atmospheric perspective simply refers to the visual phenomenon where distant objects appear more hazy and lower in contrast due to the particles in the atmosphere that reflect light. By playing into this with our editing, we can increase and enhance the perceived depth in our photographs by adding or increasing the existing atmospheric perspective to make some things appear further away, thereby creating separation for a more dynamic end result. And on that subject, if you want, you can download my free guide on this topic at dynamiclandscapeguide.com or by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment to learn more. But here's the one super simple technique you clicked on this video for. It starts with making this selection around what we want to separate, and in this case it's the two more distant mountains behind the one in the middle here. So I'll start off trying the object selection tool just to see if we can get a good selection with that. It's a bit of a tricky one. Okay, well that's actually selected the middle rock pretty well. So what I can do now is just grab the polygonal lasso tool, hold shift on the keyboard so that we're going to add to the current selection, and I'm just going to click around the foreground here just so that this entire foreground is then also added to the existing selection. Now we have the foreground and that middle mountain selected. We can right click within that selection and then choose select inverse, and now that's going to give us the selection that we're ultimately after, which is selecting the sky and those two mountains behind the one in the middle. Okay, that's the hard part done. So what we're going to do next is add a new layer down here and then immediately add a new layer mask to that layer with the selection currently active that's going to load the selection into the layer mask, like so. So now whatever we do in this layer is going to be masked so that it only appears in the area of the mask that is white, so the area that we selected before adding the layer mask. So we're going to click on the layer itself, going to press B on the keyboard to select the brush tool. I'm going to keep a low opacity on the brush. I've got about 10% selected, and all we're going to do here is essentially sample a color from the sky and then paint more of that color into the sky and into the mountain. So I'm going to hold Alt or Option on the keyboard to bring up the eyedropper tool. And then let's select kind of a yellowy color from the sky just here. And now I'm just going to literally paint with the brush one quick sweep across in front of the mountain. And because of the layer mask here, that's only affecting everything in the sky and that distant mountain. We can see there it's got lighter, it's got a bit more hazy. It's taken on some of that color. Maybe we don't want that exact color, so I don't know, maybe I think something a bit more on the red end would perhaps look a bit better. So I'm just pressing Command Z to undo what I've just done there, and we'll sample a slightly darker red or maybe orange. And we'll try the same thing. Okay, well that looks a bit better. I think it's sort of more in keeping with the warmth of this sunset. So there we go. We just literally painted color into the distance there, and essentially created depth by making it appear further away in the background. Now we can do the same thing over here, but this time we probably want to select a color that's slightly more in tune or in line with the colors that are already over this side, because the sun was setting on the right hand side of the scene here, so those colors aren't quite stretching across the whole sky. So yeah, I've just sampled a kind of a purpley color there, and again we can just take that brush and brush it in to the background, maybe give it a couple of strokes this time, and there we have it. So this is the before, this is the after, and as you can see, we've essentially separated this middle mountain by making the two in the distance appear further back by painting that atmospheric perspective into those areas. And again, if you want to download my free guide to learn more about this kind of editing, then head to dynamiclandscapeguide.com or just click the link in the description and pinned comment. Or if you want to see another video on the topic, then you can watch this one next.